we could
it was just
travel
a very, very
a part of the rich rainforest. So we were finding all sorts of
rich rainforest. So we were finding all sorts of really incredible animals just that came into our camp. So we saw giant otters, and we saw lots of different bird species, tons of amazing fish just right where we camped. So we didn't really even have to go out searching for the wildlife. The wildlife came to us, which is really quite rare in a rainforest habitat.
Do you think the homes in the rainforest would be suitable for people like us to live in, and why?
Well, I would say, in my experience, rainforests aren't at all suitable for people like us, because they are just, you've got all this abundance of life living in the forest, but that abundance of life kind of stretches to every part of the forest and to every living thing in the forest. So you've got all these parasitic animals that will either find a home on or inside another animal, but these other animals are used to that, whereas if we go there, if you go to a rainforest, there's mosquitoes, there's leeches, there's all sorts of parasites that can get inside you, and almost without fail, a lot of people that come as part of the expedition, they get quite sick because they're just not used to that type of place. And one trip there was a friend of mine had what looked like a big boil on his head, and he started squeezing it, and I was looking at it, and the boil burst, and you could see inside it was a big maggot that a fly had laid its egg in his head, and then this maggot was erupting from the top of his head. Maybe it was just his brain.
That sounds disgusting. Rachel,
what inspired you to be a cameraman?
that sounds disgusting. Rachel,
What inspired you to be a cameraman?
I would say that growing up in Scotland and growing up on the Isle of Mull on the west coast of Scotland definitely gave me a real flavour for being outside. I spent almost my entire childhood just kind of messing about and walking along the shore and exploring what was on the beach and walking in the hills and just being outside. And I think before I even knew that I wanted to be a cameraman, I knew that I didn't really want to be in an office or stuck behind a desk, and that I just wanted to find a job that was that could actually kind of carry on this sort of thirst for exploration and for adventure that I had.
But I think actually I was quite lucky because
also when I first started, I was quite lucky because I just sort of almost fell into this job, and was being in the right place at the right time. But the older I've got and the more I've done this kind of work, I think what really inspires me is the good that it can do, because a lot of the species and places that we film the places that are under threat or species that are becoming extinct, and I think that wildlife documentaries play this really valuable role in informing people and educating them and hopefully entertaining them at the same time.
Where is the most amazing place you have been to film animals and fly?
Sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Where is the most amazing?
Sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Oh, the most amazing place that I've been to film animals. I think Alaska.
Oh, the most amazing place that I've been to film animals. I think Alaska. I really loved it up there because it's very like Scotland, but on a much bigger scale, and they've still got a lot of their big impressive wildlife. So you've got these huge mountains and coastline and huge beach areas. The climate is very hard, and I quite like the challenge of filming places that are physically very difficult. And they've got animals like, they've got killer whales offshore and humpback whales and
black bears and brown bears and wolves and moose. So it's sort of, it's almost like Scotland would have been a couple of thousand years ago. Really impressive, very wild and rugged, and all these sort of native species still intact and still living there.
Steve and George, and who is your favourite one? Did you like working with Steve and George, and who is your favourite one?
Oh, it's getting terrible echo coming back there. Could you ask that again?
I didn't like working with them. They're both really unpleasant.
I didn't like working with them. They're both really unpleasant people. You wouldn't want to meet or spend time with either of them. They're grumpy, they're rude. Steve is just very aggressive. He flies off the handle. He strangled me once. We got into a fight. I had to beat him up and made him cry. No, they're both lovely people to work with. I don't know actually. I've always worked. Whenever I've worked with them, it's always been together. George is good fun. He's a funny man. You can see on camera that he's a funny character. And he's good fun to be around. Steve he's a lot more sensible. He's a bit more grown up than I am, and a bit more grown up than George is. I just quite like being a bit silly, and Steve isn't often that silly.
What was the scariest thing you've ever encountered?
I've had quite a few scary encounters.
I've had quite a few scary encounters, but I think the one that gave me the biggest fright was one morning I was walking on the sand dunes when I was working in Sri Lanka, and I didn't notice there was a huge male elephant standing beside a tree, and I wasn't that far away from it, and it didn't realise I was there until it was quite close, and it looked at me and then just kind of started shaking its head, and I thought, I wonder if it'll charge, and as soon as I thought that, it charged towards me, and I had to run away from it, zigzagging between the bushes and the trees, and eventually got a bit confused and gave up. But I think, yeah, there's lots of animals you can have encounters with, but not that many of them are that dangerous. They kind of tend to do a mock charge, whereas elephants, if you've got an elephant chasing after you, the chances are, if you can't outrun it or hide from it, you're going to get really seriously hurt.
Neil, would you like to ask your question?
What was it like filming exotic birds in the rainforest canopy?
Sorry, that was another echoey one. Can you try again?
Sorry, that was another echoey one. Can you try again? That was another echoey one.
Can you try again?
Sorry, missed that again.
Sorry, missed that again.
What was it like filming exotic birds in the rainforest canopy?
I think you said, what was it like filming exotic birds in the rainforest canopy? And if that's what you did say, it's great. I think when you're in the rainforest, the one great thing about being up a tree is you don't have to do any walking, and it can, if you don't do it right, it can be very uncomfortable because you're stuck up a tree. On the last trip I spent, I think, 3 full days up a tree waiting for things to happen, but because I've been doing it for so long now, I know how to keep myself nice and comfortable. So I take something to sit on, lots of nice things to eat and drink. I've got my iPhone with some
apps on it, a little games, a little skiing game that I play. Not all the time, but just if there's absolutely nothing happening. And if you're spending days and days up a tree, you have to be comfortable and warm, and when you can go to sleep onto this little kind of sleeping mat that folds down. So it's a really nice place to be, because you're up there in the canopy, maybe 150 feet off the ground, and you can see all these different birds and lots of different primates doing their thing, and they tend not to be that threatened by you when you're up there with them. They feel scared when they see you on the ground, but if you're up there, they just think of you as being another arboreal species.
What was the most interesting animal you filmed in the wild?
I think the most interesting animal I've ever filmed.
I think the most interesting animal I've ever filmed is probably killer whales, because they're incredibly intelligent, and I'm sure that they are as intelligent, or if not more intelligent than we are. It's just that we speak different languages. They've got very, very complicated lives. They are an apex predator. They are sociable like us, and we can't even begin to understand the complexity of their relationships with one another. I've got a recording of a group of killer whales having this conversation. You hear all this huge amount of noise, and it sounds as rich and as diverse as a bunch of people talking, and then the conversation comes to an end, and then 30 seconds after the conversation between the killer whales comes to an end, they start hunting seals, and there's not a single noise that comes from them while they're hunting seals. And they didn't manage to catch a seal on that occasion, and as soon as they gave up, all this conversation started up again, and then they drifted off, and it was just quite clear to me that they were having this discussion about how they were going to go about hunting the seals, and then when they failed, they had another discussion about what they were going to do next.
What's your favourite thing about being a cameraman?
Sorry, Emily, I didn't hear that one.
Emma, stand up and be really loud, please.
Sorry, Emily, I didn't hear that one. Sorry, Emily, I didn't hear that one.
Sorry, Emma, not Emily.
Sorry, Emma, not Emily. Sorry, Emma, not Emily.
What's your favourite thing about being a cameraman and why?
So go again.
Favourite thing about being a cameraman?
Yeah, and why?
Favourite thing about being a cameraman? Favourite thing about being a cameraman? My favourite thing about being a cameraman is getting to travel all around the world and see places that very, very few people ever get a chance to see, to actually film these things and bring the images back so that everybody else can see it. It's very rewarding, because it feels because I love my job so much, it feels quite selfish to go off and just be able to go to all these incredible places, seeing lots of amazing things. But you know, I suppose that I do film things that thousands, millions of people get an opportunity to watch. It's just a really nice way to live, as long as you get the balance between being at home and being away right. As long as you get the balance between being at home.
For another question? Ryan, do you want to ask your question?
What was going through your mind when you got attacked by that polar bear?
What was going through my mind when?
You got attacked by that polar bear.
What was going through my mind when?
Oh, when I was attacked by the polar, I was just thinking that it was
when I was attacked by the polar bear, I was just thinking that it was very lucky that polar bear that I wasn't in a fighting mood, because if I got outside, it would have been, I would have taken it across my knee and given it a good scalping. I think, you know, I'm pretty tough, and I think I could have had it quite easily. You could see in its face it was quite scared of me. No, I was terrified. I wasn't expecting the bears to come up that close and investigate me when I was inside the box. The plan was to just film the polar bears at a distance and be able to observe them doing their thing. And that one, out of hundreds of different polar bears that we saw, that one was particularly curious and came up, and yes, it was really very scary, and I couldn't wait for it to be over.
Will you be working with George and Steve again?
Will I be working with
George and Steve again.
Okay.
Will I be working with?
I'm sure I will. It's just that we all started off.
Okay, with George and Steve. I'm sure I will. It's just that we all started off doing the expeditions together, and then because they went down so well, we all were offered various projects that were independent of the expeditions. So Steve's been off doing Deadly 60 and all his other projects, and George has been really busy, and then I've been off doing my sort of solo ventures. But I'm sure we will at some point. There's another expedition planned for next year that I'm not sure. Nobody's been asked to do it yet, but I'm hoping that we'll all be asked again.
What do you like most about your job?
I think traveling, and there's lots of interesting people that.
I think just traveling, and there's lots of interesting people that I get to meet. There's a lot of people that work alongside me that are good fun or incredibly interesting. But when we go into the field and travel abroad, quite often we're working with people that are at the top of their industry. So kind of some of the world leading scientists or the world leading conservationists. So you know, it's not just really about the animals and the places. It's there's the characters and the people that I meet. I never ever once thought when I was your age that I'd be doing a job like this, and that life would be quite so interesting.
How many times have you been to the rainforest?
I've been to the rainforest lots.
Oh, I've been to the rainforest lots. When I was 17, I got my first job, and that was spending it was a year and a half. I was living in the rainforest in West Africa, and then after that, I spent about 6 months in Venezuela in the rainforest there, and then I went on to spend about 2.5 years in Brazil in the Amazon rainforest. And since then, I've come and gone lots and lots and lots of times. And despite the fact that that's where I've done the majority of my work over the years, it's the place I feel least comfortable. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's dirty. There's things that grow on you and grow inside you. So you know, I love it in some ways, but I'm always quite glad to leave.
Jack, how many different cameras have you used?
That's a good question. It used to be for years and years.
That's a good question. It used to be for years and years. I just had my stills camera, and then I just had my old film camera that I'd film the animals on. But in the last, let me think,
High definition.
10 years, when everything moved over to high definition, almost every single year we're using different cameras. So, and the technology is getting better. It's getting smaller. So there's a whole range of different cameras that we take on these trips. So these days, I could be using maybe 6 or 7 different cameras in one go.
Oh, Lucy.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one.
Did you feel lost and volcano when you saw an animal you've never seen before? that you've never seen before?
When I saw an animal, sorry, what?
Oh, it's great. When you see something that
Oh, it's great. When you see
you're
something that
looking at an animal
that's completely new to science, you know, you're looking at an animal there's not a single picture of it in any book or any magazine or online. It is something that is completely new to science, and it's a nice feeling because we tend to think that we know everything about everything, but when you find something like that, quite a significant species still living on the planet, it just reminds us that there's still a huge amount to learn.
How long have you known Stephen George?
I met Stephen George back in 2005.
I met Stephen George back in 2005, I think it was, when we all first worked together.
Olivia.
If you didn't choose the job to be a cameraman, what other job would you like to do?
If I wasn't a cameraman, which other job would I like to do?
If I wasn't a cameraman,
Definitely not a teacher.
which other job would I like to do?
Why not?
I don't know.
Definitely not a teacher.
I used to love horses.
I don't know. I used to love horses, and I spent a huge amount of time when I was of, I suppose, your age, sort of from the age of 11 till I was 15, around horses, all my spare time. So I kind of thought that's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to work with horses, and then, but now, I don't know, I just sort of something that's got all the same elements of what I do. So the travel, spending time in wild places, but I don't know what that'd be. Yeah, maybe a scientist. If I wasn't a cameraman, I'd probably be a scientist.
How long did it take you to film the family?
Sorry.
Lots of funny noises coming through. That's that again.
How long did it
There's lots of funny noises coming through. Could you ask that again?
before family and me?
I still can't hear that.
How long did it take you to film the bear family and
No,
me?
I still can't hear that. Sorry.
Oh, right, okay. That's basically from
Oh, right,
April
okay.
right through to
That
October.
took basically from April right through to October, because the bears hibernate through the winter.
No point
There
during the winter months.
there was no point in going out during the winter months, because there was nothing happening. They were under the ground, under the snow. So we went out in mid-April to hopefully film them leaving the den. So we were filming on and off from April up until October. So I think we did four separate trips, coming and going. But that was actually one of the favourite trips that I've done, because my wife and my two kids were able to come out, because there's not that many places that are that comfortable that I work. So it was
Kelsey,
nice
would
to
you
have
like
them
to
out
ask
there
your
with me.
question?
Have you ever come face to face with a tiger, and what did you do? Have you ever come face to face?
Yes, I have come face to face with the tiger.
Yes, I have come face to face with the tiger quite a few times, and the one thing that you shouldn't do if you come face to face with a tiger is run. You're supposed to just stand there, and even if it charges, you're supposed to stand there and face it down. So when I came to face to face with the tiger, I ran, but fortunately I ran faster than anyone else, and there was 3 of us, and we all scattered, and the tiger got confused and he didn't know which one to chase. But there was another time I got charged by one, and I didn't run, and it just gave
Has
up.
anyone got another question they would like to ask? Michael, you need to come down to the front though, I don't know if we'll hear you.
to wait in that small little tent to get the pygmy parrots to come back to the nest.
Sorry, I missed that one.
How were you feeling?
Sorry, I
when you
missed
were
that
waiting on
one.
The pygmy parrots coming back to the nest.
Oh, the pygmy parrots. Well, I was actually.
Oh, the pygmy parrots. Well, I wasn't feeling too hopeful about that because there had been no sightings of the parrots at all. Somebody had found the nest, and they said, "Oh, you should go and check it out." And I went up, and I could see the birds in the area, but I wasn't sure whether they were actually still going into the nest. So I sat for, I think I did 3 days sitting in the hide, just waiting. And there was nothing the first day, and then by the second day, they flew in, and then I think they just got used to the hide being there, and then they sort of came and went. But that was a really uncomfortable hike because it was a boggy part of the forest, and there was loads and loads of insects. So sitting in the hide for three days in a sweltering heat, being bitten by mosquitoes, wasn't that much fun. But the birds were incredible. I really loved seeing them. I couldn't believe how small they were.
Have you ever done anything like this before with primary school children?
Sorry, I missed that.
Have you ever done anything
Sorry,
like
that.
this before?
Sorry, I missed that.
Like what?
Have you ever done anything like this before?
Like talking to a classroom.
Like what? Like talking to a classroom. Talking to a classroom.
I have actually. I've done it, but not with sound.
I don't think I have actually. I've done it, but not with sound and not with pictures. That's why I put my makeup on today, because I just wanted to look my best.
One last question. Amy, you had your hand up for a question before.
What is the most fascinating like insect you've ever saw?
Sorry, that was a very crackly one again.
Stand up, Amy.
Sorry, that was a very crackly one again.
Fascinating insect that you've ever saw?
That's a good question. Didn't know anything about the behaviour.
That's a good question.
But it was just the most beautiful thing.
Didn't know anything about the behaviour of this insect, but it was just the most beautiful thing to look at. It was a tiny little moth, like maybe, size of a bumblebee, maybe that kind of size. And it was just the colours on it were incredible. It was sort of pearl white, its wings kind of slightly shimmered, and round the whole edge of the wing was gold spots. Like, I don't mean just the colour gold, it looked as if gold had actually been melted on to the wingtips all the way round. And it was maybe, the size of your thumbnail, and I was looking at it through a macro lens, and it was just absolutely stunning. And I told George about it and showed him a photograph, and he'd never ever seen anything like it before, and he was quite sure that it was a new species. But to tell whether it was a new species or not, I would have had to have caught it, and I was quite happy just to watch it and then let it go.
Talking to us this afternoon, for giving up your time. Time 6, can we all say thank you?
Thank you, Gordon.
Well, thank you very much. And could you do one thing for me? Could you give Mrs. Portelli a huge clap, because she's the person that's been sorting this all out?
Well, thank you very much. And could you do one thing for me? Could you give Mrs. Portelli a huge clap, because she's the person that's been sorting this all out for everyone?
Thank you very much.
Well, everyone have a nice summer, and good luck for next year.
Pleasure. Well, everyone have a nice summer, and good luck for next year.
Have a good summer! That looks like a horse.